going on, guys? We are back with the Lightning Project S197. So there are a few things that are holding us out. We got to get a Holly in for this, so it is on order. We're looking at mid-August for that, but I want to go ahead and get some other things knocked out on it. So we got the engine in it right now. I'm going to pull it back out. I have a Metco 6-pound lower to go ahead and install on this. That means we're adding 6 pounds of boost over stock. We're going to be running E85 in this thing too. I have an interesting idea on how we can get this fired up before the Holly gets here. It's kind of a Frankenstein contraption of a new edge and S197 harnesses, but in theory up here should work. I'm kind of trying to start it up with the stock returnless fuel system, which uses an inferred rail pressure, which means we'll need a Coyote ECU in there. But I plan to put a Coyote ECU in here anyway, so the electric power steering will work. But there's a lot of like in theory things that I think they'll work, but we're gonna have to test it out. So first things first, let's yank this 5.4 back out, and we'll get it ready for the 6-pound lower. We'll also put the clutch on it and probably snap the trans in it today, get a starter in it, and start figuring out more things.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lightning engine is out. Don't use the Harbor Freight chains that come with the engine support lifts. They will break. Granted, this is probably a 700-pound-ish engine. And while I should probably put this on an engine stand, don't do as I do as I say. Anyways, alright guys, so here's the Lightning engine, and we have a delivery from our buddies at Metco Motorsports. So if you guys have been following the channel for a while, you guys may have seen originally with my Terminator Cobra, I exploded one of these stock, oh wow, this one's not, okay, we're gonna have to replace that. On my Cobra, I exploded a stock idler. Wow, that bearing is not great. Well, Rick, if you're watching this, I might be calling you best some idlers, but I exploded a stock idler, and that's actually a pretty common failure on the Cobras. The Lightning, being that it's in the same generation, shares a lot of similar parts. Metco is one of the very few manufacturers that still make parts for the Terminator Cobra, the Lightning. They also make 2020 GT500 pulleys and I believe Hellcat as well. But if you guys want to support someone who's been around forever, definitely check out Metco, especially Terminator. You know, there's not a lot of manufacturers still making brand new parts for the Terminator Cobra, so definitely appreciate them still doing that. And of course, Lightning and Harley. So what we have here, this is going to be our bolt-on hub adapter for Lightning. I believe some parts of this, I don't know if this is Lightning specific, or I believe that might be Lightning specific. We got some Metco stickers, of course, and I believe the outer ring, so the 6-pound outer ring is, yep, Lightning and Cobra specific. So I believe this hub is the only thing different between the Cobra and Lightning kit. But yeah, anyways, definitely check them out. If you have an 03 Cobra with a stock lower, the bushings are worn out, the cage lower, just go ahead and get yourself a 4-pound, 6-pound lower bolt on. You can also change out the outer pulleys. They're easily changeable, so it makes it super easy to add, subtract, boost without relying on, you know, your upper pulley being so small. You can basically use both. So you can see right here, super large. This is gonna add 6 pounds of boost to this little Eaton. And this is actually the same rotor packs as the Terminator Cobra. So this thing's gonna make some steam. We may toss the rods out the side, but it'll be a fun time trying. All right, so pretty cool design. It's got this really nice hub. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is just clean out the inside of this balancer. This did have a different aftermarket balancer, but it got hit in the accent. Basically a little bit right here and a little bit right there, but it looks like everything's still turning over good, so I think we're good to go ahead and move forward. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean out this area. We're just using a wire brush. I also sprayed some WD-40 in the 3 bolt holes, but basically we're just gonna put this hub right in there, but our goal is to get it to kind of slip in, you know, nice. In, probably just need a little rubber mallet. So I'll need to make sure they're kind of lined up. So I'll use a rubber mallet, tap it in, and then that can be good. So basically I'm just gonna tap this in until it seats, but I think I might need to use some light, so I need to borrow my phone. Okay, so basically I just softly tapped it with the rubber mallet, and eventually I think this is a little bit beveled. It kind of slipped in there, and I'm able to kind of rotate it and move it so I can line up the bolt holes. It may vary on your application depending on what your balancer pulley looks like, but I'm able to rotate, get these bolt holes lined up. We're gonna tighten that up, and then we'll be able to get the outer ring on. All right, so hub is completely installed. I personally used my impact to tighten those. I think they're 8mm. Yeah, 8mm hex heads. May or may not be the best thing, but obviously if you're trying to tighten those by hand, it's gonna be pretty difficult. Because the engine's going to want to turn, so you could get someone to hold it on the backside. I know this gun, I know it torques pretty tight. I didn't go too crazy with it. I think they're tight enough. Not, you know, by the book, but the next portion is right here. I actually already just put this on, but so the idea with these is that you can take them on and off pretty easily, and they do basically swap on and off pretty easily. They got this nice little hub right here. So this is a 6, you can go to a 4, you can go to stock. I don't know if they make anything bigger than a 6, they might, but yeah. Just kind of put it in place. Rubber mallet's really your friend because you're not messing anything up. And then all we got to do, I think we got 6 bolts, and then we'll be installed. I guess my next thing is going to be, well, first I got to look at all these idlers because they're pretty rough. I guess me spinning them makes them work better, but these will probably not be the happiest, so we'll have to do some idlers. Metco makes idlers, they're great. Yeah, we already replaced this one, but yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and put these 6 bolts on, and then I'll get started on basically the rest of the task for the day.
No.
So now we'll move on to clutch, engine installation, and various other things that is ready to go. I also got to figure out a belt length that's going to work with this, so because we're not running any accessories, just the water pump and alternator, so shorter inner belt and shorter outer. So I'll see if I have anything here for that. Alright, so I don't know how I got this lucky. I went over to the belt pile, which I have a ton of belts, and I grabbed a 6-rib belt. It does have an 8-rib inner, but we don't really need to use them. We're doing an AC delete, power steering delete, and I just happened to start routing belts around, and I realized the only way to really do this is with an AC delete pulley, and we can ignore power steering. We don't have to use this idler. So I just started routing it. The first belt I got is literally the perfect length. We got the alternator, the water pump, the balancer, the tensioner, everything's here. There's no clearance issues. There's no, at least from what we can see right here, there's no binding issues. The belt doesn't seem to want to be coming off. So I'd say the inner belt is done, unless for some reason it shreds once it starts up, but now the inner accessory belt's all set. So I think that's a big win. I'm gonna see if I can find an 8-rib setup that will fit this, and then we'll have the belt situation all dialed in. I think a lot of this stuff's really easy. The radiator hose is pretty much already done. This one's cut a little bit short, so I might need to get another 4/6 one, but that'll work. Lower, we'll go lower. We might put an inline fill thing right there, just be easy. Yeah, kind of just figuring out more and more things, but looking pretty good. All right, so 4th belt, and I think it's good to go. Swapped out the other idler with one that we had laying around. So Metco 6-pound lower. I forget what belt we ended up using. K080702. So 702 gauge part number, 8-rib. We're running a 6-rib on the inner, even though it's an 8-rib. I don't know what part number that is, but it's irrelevant. It was the first one we grabbed. So now this is all ready to go. I'll probably pick up a nice fresh belt, maybe a tensioner, because if you can see, I can depress that tensioner with my hands. So it's not really ideal. For the inner belt, not really a big deal. I don't even know. Yeah, I can do that one, but that one doesn't see a lot of tension, where this is going to see a lot. So we'll probably want to get a replacement tensioner down the road. But for startup, at least I think we're dialed. As far as I know, I believe I can leave the clutched radiator fan water pump setup just like that. I don't think that's going to cause any issues. I don't think. If you guys think so, I cut it off right here with the Sawzall. I don't see it coming off. So I don't see any need to change that unless we tear this entire engine apart and we swap one in, water pump or whatever, without that thing in there. So I think the next step is going to be figuring out the clutch, getting the engine back in, and then figuring out if we can stuff the MT82 in here. I think my fuel fittings don't arrive till Saturday, so I don't think we'll be able to start it in this video, but at least we can get the engine, the trans in, starter in, and we and at least get to turn it over on a starter, get some oil in it, and see what we can do from there. All right, so this one's kind of a funny one. I was looking around and I realized I need a pilot bearing because this was obviously originally paired with an automatic transmission, so we'll need a pilot bearing. A lot of what I've done so far is all theory and, you know, based off of what I know about these cars, these setups, and kind of putting parts together from all different platforms. That's an MT82 clutch for a Coyote. That's 8-bolt flywheel, 23 spline. We're using an MT82. I believe that should just bolt on and work as soon as we get that pilot bearing in there. So we were going around and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go get a pilot bearing from O'Reilly's. And I'm like, well, I should probably get an oil filter and oil so that way we're ready to go. And I was looking around and I'm like, where the heck is the oil filter on this thing? And I didn't realize that the 5.4 oil pump housing was broken off. Didn't realize that when I originally put these Coyote motor mounts on. If you notice, I've already fixed the problem. But if that wasn't broken, maybe I wouldn't have gone through with this project, or maybe I would have had to rethink because that oil filter housing goes over there. Obviously, I found a solution. So this is a 4.6 2-valve oil filter housing. You can see the oil filter, coolant flows through here. There's an in and out oil. If you guys are familiar with the 2-valve platform, these are commonly known for leaking and cracking. So the Cobras actually have an oil cooler, and then this one's just an oil filter housing. But they are known for cracking, and they can cause what you would think is a head gasket issue because they'll mix the oil and coolant. Little tidbit there, but that works. I was actually, I have a MMR oil filter relocation kit, and I was looking at putting that on here, but I figured why reinvent the wheel when this works pretty well. So I don't think we really need to use that. So yeah, I think we're almost ready to stick it in the car. We're gonna get the clutch on there, stick it in the car, and then stick the trans, starter, drive shaft, shifter, and everything else in it, and getting closer to that plan. All right, so possibly the first 5.4 Lightning engine with an MT82 clutch. It'll fit. I did also notice something which was pretty interesting. A Coyote rear main cover will fit the back of this. So in theory, if I wanted to run this off a Coyote computer, we could swap a Coyote rear main cover, which will allow us to run a reluctor wheel and a Coyote crank sensor. Once you can run a Coyote crank sensor here, really possibilities are pretty easy. Everything else is, you know, coils are, you know, basically similar. You just need to convert over some coils and some other different things, but it could run off a Coyote computer, which is interesting. I'm gonna continue assembling the clutch. This is a McLeod RST. This is used. It's been hanging around, hasn't sold. People don't really buy used clutches too much, and we're gonna use it. But this is not my recommended clutch for this application, which is high torque, racing, abuse, all of the above. This thing more than likely will fail at some point. So just be aware. I'm using spare parts that I got laying around. Budget build. So we'll get it together. Okay, I think the engine's ready to go in for the final time. Oil cooler, housing done, dipsticks in, oil filter is on, Metco 6-pound lower is on, belt is routed. This hose right here, we may or may not have to change that. It depends on a few different things. All this stuff is still set up here. I got a wacky idea for a fuel system for a first start, so but I do need some billet lightning rails. If anyone has a set laying around, let me know, but I might need to go get some of those. I took care of this right here. I was going to cap this down below, but I actually ended up running this line here with a little cap there. That way I access this. This is also a boost reference too. Someone did mention take care of that before the engine goes in. We did that. This may look ghetto, but if it's going to blow out anywhere, it's going to blow out here. And then I can service it. All the way down there, I can't service it. So, I mean, seems kind of stupid. You could also put a cap there and then completely solve it, but I don't feel like going in there and trying to find the right thread. RST clutch. Like I said, this is not the correct clutch, I think, for a high torque application like this. It's what we got laying around, so we're gonna use it. Spacer plate installed. I think this one's actually technically out of Coyote, but as I've kind of showed you, Coyote, Modular, 5446, everything's very, very similar, and a lot of things interchange. So we are good there. We actually are going to be able to make our exhaust off of the manifold. I guess it's not over here, but we'll be able to make the exhaust off of there. So I think it's ready to go. I don't think I really need to hang anything, any wiring on this yet. We're going to go ahead and drop it right in, and then start tackling the trans install. Back in, looking a little bit more complete. Now it's time to put the trans in. All right, this beautiful MT82 ready to go. It's got a grinding fifth. It does still work though, and a used sleeve cylinder. Picked the best of the two. I had another one over there. I'm gonna say, like, I'm not the biggest fan of the input shaft being a little rusty, but she'll go. What do you think? It's the nature of the build. I mean, just using whatever is free and available. So we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Right. So we're gonna go ahead and stab the trans in. The clutch is on, ready to go. It looks like we're looking relatively good in terms of, like, the engine's kind of sitting down so we can get the engine or the trans in. So hopefully this is not a painful process. Hopefully. Hopefully not. Transmission jack should help make this go smoothly, but we'll update you. It's been a while since I've installed a transmission like this. I usually drop the K-member down. All right, well, the transmission is in. There's a little bit of pain in the butt, not because it's a weird combo, just because transmissions can be a pain in the butt. Just in general, but it is in, bolted in. Obviously, everything looks like it's lining up because mod motor, everything works. This is an MT82 from an S550. We got to take this flange off and put the 4-bolt one on. So we got to go get a tool to yank this off and then get the new one on.
Hammer wasn't working.
Yeah, we tried to hammer, it didn't work.
You did this.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, weight reduction, you know?
That's cosmetic.
Yeah.
The iron block's pretty heavy, so I want to remove as much aluminum as possible. All right, made some good progress. Got the MT82 flange swapped. Check this out, stock cross member, stock shifter, stock drive shaft, Coyote starter, 2-valve manifolds. All right. Are we starting this thing on brake cleaner today?
Can. I guess gotta put a harness on it.
Yeah, let's let it down and we'll kind of assess the situation. We can hook up the clutch line too. All right, so Bradley and I have been working hard on it. We just put some oil in it. We just ran the manual trans Coyote harness through the car. I guess the electric power steering is hooked up, the starter is hooked up, the trans speed sensor and reverse sensor are hooked up. We don't have any engine management for the 2-valve yet, but we have the car. I didn't get the starter request isn't working from the key yet, but I think the jump pack is dying. That's sad.
But it spins, turns over.
Yeah, it did just, like, off camera, it just went.
Yeah, we had it spinning for a little bit. So,
yeah, which means once we hook up the 2-valve ECU, CCRM harness, engine fuse box, and hit the starter with some power and it sees RPM and there's fuel, vroom vroom.
Which we know there's fuel because it just shot out that hose all over the ground. So I don't know if we're gonna use that hose exactly. Fuel might be some good old brake clean, but
Oh yeah, but
it's gonna start
yeah.
somehow tonight.
This is the Cobra's ECU, which is an auto ECU plus, I don't know if they're actually like meant to work together, but I might use one of the spare ECUs I have around here to PATS delete it so that way the ECU is happy and then the starter request works. But obviously, worst case scenario, we just hit the fuse, the starter fuse. But yeah, I think we're gonna get some fuse. I think we're gonna get some food, but we're pretty freaking close to going. Whoop, whoop. Now that we got back, I will show. Oops, I gotta plug this in.
Don't worry, you're gonna show it at some point.
Oh yeah, dude. That's a strong crank.
Don't worry, it's only gonna get more ghetto rigged from here because what you're about to see next is going to blow your mind.
Oh my god, we should do an area cleanup. Let's put some tools back. And did we get the clutch line on with the thing yet?
No, we need to do that.
Okay. But
I just gotta
this
slide that little thing
is
off.
about to get pretty ghetto, but we'll do a tool cleanup, area cleanup, and let's go. Okay, guys, let me explain. So this is just, it's a lot. It's late. I tried to, the engine has starter power, whatever. I tried to use my spare New Edge everything wiring harness, which includes my PATS deleted PCM, the CCRM harness, the dash harness, the engine harness, and the engine bay fuse box. I linked this all together. That I just disconnected it, but that had power coming from over there, so that's 12 volt. Everything's grounded, plugged in. Well, obviously not, because the dash over here, the cluster is not lighting up. And I don't know if this is going to be worth all this trouble when we have the Holly on the way. I thought that I'd be able to plug, and go in, hook up some fuel line real quick, fire right up, but unfortunately not. Yeah, there's just so much wires when it comes to your factory New Edge and what you need to run a New Edge. I think I would have been better off going Coyote engine management, you know, if before the Holly. But nonetheless, we are very close. Their drive shaft's in, the shifter's in. You know, it's, I mean, it's like a real car, you know. You got the shifter pretty much ready to go. I haven't put the center console or shift knob back in, but you know, that's like a real thing. Everything lights up, powers up, but I don't know if all this mess is going to be worth hearing it start once. It might just be on the burner for when the Holly comes in. All right, guys, so with that said, I think we're gonna wrap up this video without a start. We're just too far off. Fuel system's not there. This wiring mess is just starting to get too much. Hit the like button. Comment down below, what are we calling this thing? It's a Lightning swap into an S197. I need some name suggestions because, yeah. This is, I just don't think it's gonna work at this point. But we do have a Holly on the way. So we'll probably just maybe have the car on the back burner. I really gave it a good effort. Maybe if I come in here and I see something dumb tomorrow, I'll try firing it up. But made a really good effort. Engine like this is really in here, not just thrown in here. This is bolted in here. Clutch, trans, clutch line, drive shaft shifter. I mean, we're engine management and fuel away from firing up and having a running, driving car. That is insane. I mean, we got to put the heat exchanger on still and do the intercooler pump and the cooling system, but we're close. But the engine management is going to put us pretty far back. Anyway, guys, make sure you hit that like button, comment down below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.